Hey, that worked. Holy cow. Thank the freaking Lord. I am Josh here with On the Wrong Lead. We put a little bit of work in this week, getting some of these graphics updated. I got a little intro video going there. Yeah, welcome to your stream. I got plenty of bourbon here. Got plenty of races to cover. I got the usual suspects -1 today. We'll go one by one here. To my right here, we have the good-looking Caleb. Caleb, how are you doing?
I'm doing outstanding. I like the little intro jam. Production quality going up, pit quality going down. Everything's all right with the world.
Hey, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what happened last week. Last weekend was kind of a weird weekend, but Chase and I talked a little bit about the Derby preps on our podcast, which is released today. So if you guys want to hear a little recap and a little talking about college fast food, we went in depth on the old dollar menu there. So speaking of dollar menu, the man with the apparently very, very cheap headphones that didn't want to work, or maybe it was a sound card. I don't know what it was. Mr. Two Turns, Mark, what happened there?
Mark IT failed at IT. That's really what happened.
Yeah. Are we recording off the Yeti this time too? Did you check that one?
Yeah, it's on the Yeti. It should be on the Yeti. Yeah. I'm getting this together. I promise.
Nice.
Maybe.
Nice. It's only been a year and a half or so. And our newest member here, BD Horse Player Brian, the man who never has any issues because he's a seasoned veteran of streaming and doing live horse racing stuff. What's going on, my man?
Seasoned veteran. Now that's an adventurous word to use there, Josh. There's 2 kids running around my house, and as Chase can relate, sometimes streaming with children in the house is always an adventure. So it's a matter of time before I'm in the closet on one of these streams as well.
Yeah, was it last week where Chase was like midstream and his wife showed up and had to pull into the garage when he was recording? Was it last week or is it 2 weeks ago? I forgot already.
Yeah, it was two weeks ago, and it was quite entertaining because like his kids were on stream, his wife was on stream on ABR. It was interesting. Good times.
You guys don't understand the struggle sometimes. You know what I'm saying? It could rain right now.
Well, I think John Massey's got the bigger struggle, which is something that I think we saw a little bit. Chalk, lots of chalk there. So shout out to John Massey. Normally we'd be introducing the Wolf here. Hollywood Wolf actually said he needed to get stuff ready for his live stream tomorrow, and didn't have time to stream with us. His head has gotten enormously large, and he is unable to join us anymore. No, I'm just kidding. He's been having some, if you guys know Chase at all, he's been having some health issues with pain and stuff like that. So, shout out to the Wolf. Hope you feel better, and make sure as long as he's feeling good, make sure you check Chase out tomorrow on ABR. That time is not right. He's going live at 1, but I realized I did not update the graphic from last week. So, well, production quality staying the same.
And in all fairness, you had an intro video, so we can excuse the time being off a little bit.
Yeah, dude. I had every intention of having all this stuff set up like I did last week, and then life got in the way as usual. And so per usual, we get in just under the wire here. But the show must go on. We're gonna go ahead. We're gonna start with AQUEDUCT here. The Withers. I think it's a grade 3. Yeah, grade 3 Withers. I forgot to put grade 3 in there, but you guys get it. Pop open the PP here. All right, we're back in. We're in Derby season here. We're going back to another Derby prep. Mark, correct me if I'm wrong. This has not necessarily been one of the stronger of the Derby preps to kind of show who our next Kentucky Derby winner is. Has it?
No, I mean, historically, well, if you were to go back 30 or 40, well, probably, geez, even more than that, maybe 40 years, the Aqueduct winter scene had a lot, fed into Kentucky quite well, but it seems like most of the trainers now are shipping north-south. So, the Florida, the OAKLAWN, Santa Anitas, those tend to be the races you want coming out of. Obviously, the Withers here is a big prep that feeds into the Wood Memorial, which would be the actual the big featured Derby prep, even though, horses coming out of this might get enough points where they can sneak in. As we've seen in the past couple of years, you don't actually need to win one of the majors to kind of sneak into the Derby.
Yeah. Actually, Brian, one of your friends has a question for you. Mr. Sean Alvarez on Twitter is asking where the umbrella went. You just a magic man? What'd you do?
Well, sometimes Mary Poppins is here and then she leaves.
I think Sean was expecting you to have it on the whole stream.
If Sean wants me to put it on the whole string, I mean, the viewers want what the viewers want. You guys keep going. I'll grab it again.
It's a good look, Brian. It's a good look. It's just a really good look.
You gotta give the people what they want.
So, Mark, I asked you a little bit about the history on this. Why don't you take us through this race first? What are you thinking here?
I mean, I didn't get super creative on this race. I ended up on two horses that put it this way. I think this race is really, really, really deep. But you run into this thing with these, and I hate these early season 2-year-old preps, and the fact that you're trying to find what's that horse that's going to take the next step forward. What's the horse that can get these longer distances? What's the horse of the now? And these are just really impossible races. So if you're somebody and you go through this and you're like, geez, I love this 20-1, I wouldn't talk you off it. But I mean, I think the two most logical players in here are the 3 Capo Cane and the 5 Risk Taking, who are your 2 morning line favorites. Risk Taking, obviously coming up and being special weight. I tend to move that down a little, but it's Chad Brown, and if you are an optics player, this horse absolutely jumps off the page at you. You took 3 times to break his maiden. You see Cancel hopping up, which is great connections for Chad Brown. And the other horse in here is Capo Cane, who won the Withers absolutely going away. Or sorry, won the Jerome going away. I mean, not my bad. Won the Jerome absolutely going away in the off going, which should probably flatter his form a little bit. I don't know how strong a field that Jerome really was. And you have to stretch out a little bit further here, and he might just be the type that wants a mile and was a little bit flattered. But those two make a lot of sense, but there are a lot of different ways you can go in here, and I wouldn't really fault you for it.
Caleb, what are you thinking?
I hate when I agree with Mark. Like, it feels like kissing your sister. Like, it's just a horrible, gross feeling. But I kind of saw the race the same way. Capo Cane looks good. Nothing to really knock about his recent form. He's improved in 3 starts. Probably caught a bit of a speed favoring strip in that 5-horse field in the Jerome last out. But he's certainly a legit player here. Just how short of a price do you want? And there's going to be some other pace signed on. Of the lightly raced horses that are just kind of graduating from the maiden ranks, I do think the Chad Brown horse probably looks the best. He just jumped way up when he went around 2 turns on dirt for the first time last out. Ran a huge race there. When they're this lightly raced, I don't tend to think they're going to bounce, but it does remain to be seen how he's going to respond off that big effort. But I'm not too worried about him going backwards. Those are probably the likeliest winners here for me. I have a hard time getting excited about these early season prep races, but I think those are probably the likeliest winners. I mean, the Todd Pletcher horse looks okay, I guess. This isn't a race I particularly like. Maybe Brian has something more interesting to say.
I really don't. I think this race speaks volumes to what's happening in New York. You figure you're in February in New York, Derby season starting, and this is the field we get, and you look, and there's nothing crazy about New York breds here. You'd like to see some powerful New York bred here making a debut or getting ready to step forward, and you really don't. You see the same logical New York connections, Blair Ridge Stables and Chad Brown. looked to be much the best on paper. You know, after that, Capo Cane, which you guys talked about. I'm gonna try and go a different way because that's what I do, and made a pretty good reputation of going opposite of you guys when I can. And I'm looking at Shack Queen King down the rail. Should be forwardly placed here, and I do like how slowly the horses come along, improved in every step. Granted, it's at Laurel, right? So the horse is coming from Laurel, and there's absolutely, I don't want to say no class here because the 2 races at Laurel, you know, he won $100,000 and then he got third. Not a horrible looking race if you think about it. And if anything was to go wrong here with Dylan Davis's ride, or you know, the likely Eric Cancel, Chad Brown winner here, I think the 1 could surprise everybody. If you're looking at this race from a pace standpoint, everybody says the 5's huge. You know, the 1 and 9, if either one of them don't break, can they steal this race at 9 furlongs? And the answer, I think, is yes. And, you know, looking at the morning line, I think that the 1 I was looking at was 10-1 in the morning line or something like that. And to me, that just seems crazy. I think the horse, you know, anywhere around 7-1, I'd probably think about win betting that horse.
Yeah, there's this. You know, you guys know that I love to handicap based off of pace. And the problem with a lot of these early 3-year-old races, you get the same problem with 2-year-old stakes races. You get a lot of horses that are still just like trying to figure stuff out. So like, who the heck knows what's going to happen pace wise? Like, if you look at, and you know, we have the Brisnet up, everyone who probably watches knows I'm a Brisnet guy. If you look at the run styles and the you know, the pace points and things like that, I mean, it looks like you got a lot of speed signed up, and you would think that you'd be looking at maybe a presser or off the pace type horse here. But upon like closer inspection, when you look at these pace figures, they are not impressive whatsoever. You know, you have like a horse like Capo Cane. I'm just going to take as an example. You know, who's listed as an E8, right? Which in for people who, you know, don't look at Brisnets normally, essentially that's the highest. It's a need the lead type horse with the highest propensity to go for the lead. 8's the biggest number that you can get. But if you look at the Jerome last out, you got E1 and E2 figs of 79 and 84 at a mile, which is like pedestrian. I mean, like, that's like, you just don't see that being leader type numbers. So I don't know what's going to happen here. If I had to guess the horse that's going to get the lead, I might look at the horse that Kendrick is on, the 7, Donegal Bay. You know, last time out at Gulfstream, you know, those pace figures look a little bit closer to what you know, a normal 1 mile race look like, you know, with 86s and 90. Now it's still a relatively slow pace, and once again, for those of you who don't use Brisnet, that's indicated by that 0 and -1 there. That means that it's pretty below average for fractions. But I mean, those figures are at least a little bit more in the realm of what we'll probably see here today or on Saturday. So I'd have to guess that the 7 is probably your leader. But I have a hard time looking past the race that the 5 ran last time out. I think between the 5 and the 7, I could make a case strongly for each of them. If this 7 wins, it's going to be out on the front. I'm not very sold on Capo Cane based off of the pace figures I've seen. They just don't look believable. You know, they look like they wired very, very weak races. That also gets me to toss horses like Eagle Orb that are coming out of the Jerome as well. I did look at Eagle Orb very, very hard because I wanted to try and make a case for Eagle Orb. But I just don't see it. I really do think that it's going to be the chalk here, and either the 7 or the 5 are going to win this race. And depending, it just really depends on how the pace shapes up. And I just don't have a great picture of it. I guess gun to my head, I'll probably take the value in the 7. That's at 7-2, and it'll probably be a longer price than the 5. But I don't feel great about it. If I were just playing a single race, I would not be playing this race whatsoever.
Yeah, Josh, I think you led into this absolutely perfectly. First thing, Timeform has the 7 making the lead and probably getting loose, not a contested lead, getting loose. Shouldn't say super loose, but maybe a length in the lead, or a clear lead. And the other thing is, I think you led this off absolutely perfectly. You mentioned that there hasn't been a Derby winner or a really highly rated Derby horse that's come out of New York in quite some time, and the reason is, this is the second tier of those class of horses. All the good ones are going to be in California, they're going to be in Florida, or they're going to be down at OAKLAWN. And I think you're just seeing what are probably a bunch of more allowance-y type horses, second tier, third tier horses, who show up and are going to get Derby points for staying in New York for the winter.
I mean, if I were to take Brian's angle, right, and just be like, all right, I'm not taking any of the 3 logicals here. Who am I going to look at? The horse that kind of does interest me a little bit, and on Figs, I'm sure. I mean, on Briz Figs, he doesn't look very impressive. I'm sure on any other Figs, he probably does not look impressive. But the run line last time out, at least this is the type of horse I like to bet in these early races, and that's actually the 6 Overtook. It's got a lot of things I do not like. First of all, obviously it's maiden breaker, but a lot of these are maiden breakers, so can't fault him too much for that. Gets Manny Franco aboard, who I just have no confidence in. However, at this point, with all the jocks that are not in town, I mean, Manny Franco is probably still in the top tier of what's left over. But I mean, coming from 10 lengths off at a mile and, closing into that hot pace and winning, the horse can pass other horses, which is something that a lot of these other younger horses have not shown the ability to do. And this horse has passed horses every time it's gone out. So I might take a look, may take a chance. It's at 6-1 on the morning line. It's not exactly, a huge price by any means. But if these 3 other horses take a lot of money, you could maybe make a case for the 6 Overtook here, at least if not to win underneath.
I'm not quite sure. I'm just going to say it. The 5 and the 7, they're going to take a lot of money. Chad Brown, Klarovich on the dirt, they're going to take money. Well, the morning line's 5-2. You're not going to see that here. And my point here is the 5 and the 7, Donegal Bay and Risk Taking, both are coming out of races that the fields were not that great. They're probably the least tested horses in this field, despite the fact that they're coming out of good connections. So they've been protected a little bit here. I think it is inflating their running lines a little bit, and I definitely think they're beatable. I think Mark mentioned Capo Cane. If you're looking for a logical horse that's had some tough races and some races where they've come back and performed well, Capo Cane might be the horse here that's the one to beat the chalky ones up front. But there's no way I could take the 5 or the 7 here, especially after what we saw. I think it was last weekend. Last out, Donegal Bay beat Simtovich down at Gulfstream. That horse came back last week and really didn't do much. So, sure, the horse went wire to wire, but who was in that race? So at short prices, I'm willing to toss them both and look for something else here.
Yeah,
I thought the saying was friends don't let friends bet Parks horses.
That rule doesn't apply at Aqueduct. Parks form has translated very well to Aqueduct. Laurel form, I mean, if anybody has ever met me for at least 30 seconds, you'll know that I think Laurel form is trash and doesn't translate anywhere outside of the state of Maryland. The one would be all over every ticket I have if those weren't Laurel races anywhere else, maybe maybe not Delaware or Pimlico, but anywhere that wasn't in that circuit. And I'd be all over this one horse. And at 10-1, I mean, there's still some value there. I do agree with Brian that it feels like a dirty race to take chalk because it's so untested. But there's nobody in here that I'm excited to bet. So, if I end up playing this in any capacity, I'll probably just try to get through it.
This is probably a race I pass completely. If it ends up on a tournament somewhere, obviously there's no way I take risk taking. I think there's 4 other horses for tournament ideas, but I think you'll see a lot of horizontal tickets singled here, probably to either Chad Brown or Pletcher, perhaps. And this race could provide value in a pick 5 or pick 4.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're a tournament player, the horse I really find interested in is the 6 Overtook that Josh had mentioned. They paid 7 figures for this horse normally if they do, and Rapole paid 7 figures for it. Not that he won't go be spendy, but expectations are definitely there. And this one has a pedigree that should really like the added distance. I realize they've tried a 1.125 before, and didn't work out the best, but I think this is the kind of horse that you want in those tournament type situations, especially because the 2 logicals are going to take money, and if anything, you get better than 6-1 there.
Yeah, and I just highlighted a couple notes here from chat from both Andrew, aka Road Warrior, and Stephen Fox. There, Finger Lakes and Park Shippers are deadly, and Road Warrior saying Park's form has been killing it in New York since New York Showcase Day. So, and I see John Massey and Steven also mentioned some horses, Escandaria and I Want Revenge and Curlin. So I don't know, are these horses that have won on that New York circuit?
Curlin is the sire of your 6 horse, Josh. I think that's where it was.
Gotcha. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I missed you guys in chat, so I didn't know what we were talking about there. But yeah, let's move on. We, as usual, have talked a race where most of us are on the chalk into the ground. I'm sure Stephen Fox will make a comment about that later. Let's move on to the Grade 3 Sam F. Davis, Tampa Bay Downs.
Wait, are we working backwards again? You're not going to do the Tampa Bay Stakes first?
I have given Josh his temporary pull-out card, so it is okay.
It's okay? Okay, cool.
It's okay.
So
Okay.
we'll work backwards at Tampa.
I figured we would
Got
do
it.
the Derby ones up front, and then
Josh, this is why we asked for an order list ahead of time, and then
did I not put this order up? I
you
swear
got it backwards.
I had the Tampa Bay one up first.
Yeah.
Well,
no, I got Sam F. Davis up first.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was like, yeah, it's in backwards order, but this is the order I gave you. Yeah, great. We're having a production meeting live. Not to steal anything from In the Money, but
there's nothing wrong with the production meeting right here. I mean, we can't count to 4. It's not our fault.
Here, let's do this again. Tampa Bay, Grade 3, Sam F. Davis. We're going to be going a mile and a 16th here at Tampa Bay Downs. And this is I don't know if this is just a story for all these kinds of races, but this is another race that I took. Like I said, you take a look at the pace scenario, and you got all these big EP type horses with huge speed figures here that, like, normally under normal circumstances, this would tell me that this race is going to melt down. But I mean, with these races, I don't know. And I haven't been watching Tampa at all. Surprise. Mark, I know you were big on Tampa last year. Have you been watching it all this year?
A little bit of Tampa. Tampa seems to play the same way.
How is the morning line at Tampa normally?
Horrible. Absolutely. It's one of the worst in the country. Top 3 worst in the country.
Because I was looking at this race. Before it updated, because I think usually Brisnet has the updated ones up on like Thursday afternoon or Thursday morning. So I downloaded the earlies, Tuesday or Wednesday at some point, and I was kind of interested in Candyman Rocket a little bit. I thought that horse looked interesting, and then I saw that he was 10-1. I thought he was going to be like the morning line favorite or like second choice or something in here. So like I was like trying to talk myself out of the horse, and then I see he's 10-1. So maybe I'm crazy here, but Caleb, why don't you get us started? Where are you looking at here?
So I do agree with you on the morning line. I just looked at the morning line now, since when I pulled the form, they didn't have morning lines on it. And I'm like really surprised at how high they have some of these horses. I mean, Candyman Rocket at 10-1 is never going to happen. I don't particularly like that horse, but that's still a price that I think is, crazy given that last race. I mean, I'm more concerned about the distance than anything else with that horse. But I landed on, I like 3 horses. I'll probably talk about, just 2 of them. The horse I'm really, really interested in that's 10-1 on the morning line is this one horse here, Hidden Stash. I don't really know what price you're going to get on this horse. I mean, the horse isn't going to be your favorite. Is it going to be like 4-1 or 9-2, or is it going to actually be 10-1? I'm not really sure. But this is a horse that as soon as they stretched this colt out, he completely looked like a different animal. I mean, he was fine in his 2 sprints, but in both of his races going 2 turns, this horse just completely dominated 2 fairly decent fields at Keeneland and then again at Churchill. Vicky Oliver isn't a trainer known for producing, Derby quality, animals, or really even chasing the Derby that much. So for her to send one here, I mean, I think that the horse, she's over 47 in graded stakes. So that kind of tells you something. But I think the horse makes sense. I mean, the figures look, competitive, if a little on the light side, but competitive. The horse has a nice, pressing, tractable run style. It's proven at this distance a perfect 2 for 2. It's proven it can win over 2 different tracks, and has the pedigree to want to go even farther than this. So the one horse is one that I kind of think looks pretty interesting here. The other horse I was kind of looking at is the one who I assume is going to be your actual favorite, which is the 3, Known Agenda. I was very surprised to see they made this horse 6-1. I probably have him more in the 5-2 ballpark. This is a Pletcher horse that took all the money in the world in his second start and responded pretty nicely with that win over 1 1/8 at Aqueduct. The distance won't be an issue. If you can get 1 1/8 at Aqueduct, you can certainly get 1 1/16 at Tampa. The horse that he beat in that maiden score is named Greatest Honor. Josh, that might be familiar to you because you gave him out on the stream last weekend, who was the smashing winner of the Holy Bull. So, that horse certainly, came back and ran pretty big. No Agenda didn't really live up to the hype in the Remsen last out. I'm thinking that perhaps the horse just didn't quite care for the sloppy sealed surface. Just never seemed to really be traveling all that comfortably. So I'm not going to hold that against this horse too much. So that's really of the Pletcher horses, that's the one I like best here. So I'm going to be the heaviest through those 2 horses. I wish that one of those 2 did have a local start. Tampa is a quirky track that's kind of hard to ship into and win. But those are the 2 horses that I think are probably the best and that have the most upside at this distance.
It's oh, sorry, Mark. Where are you going?
No, go jump in, Brian. I was about to say, Brian, go for it.
Tampa seems to play a lot like Kohler to me, where you either come to this track and you love it or you hate it. And I thought it was interesting. Some of these trainers, you see some big jockeys came in for this weekend, which I no surprise. You go where the trainer sends you or wants you. The question I have here is how much cheap speed is in this race? Not to throw something out, but Boca Boy might be a little cheap here, but if you'd like to look at circles and squares, Boca Boy could take off and get away with it. And I actually had the horse. He's 5-1 in the morning line. I think the horse might go off a little bit shorter than that. I wouldn't surprise me that horse is 4-1 come post time. And Antonio Gallardo at Tampa on a speed horse. Okay, sure. So the horse might be completely outclassed here, but definitely worth a look. And I'll let the money tell me a story. If the toe board's live at 7 at Tampa, I will definitely follow a little suit there. But other than that, I think Caleb talked about Hidden Stash. Hidden Stash made a lot of sense. But the other horse I was looking at was the 8 Nova Rags. And looking at past performances, this horse looks like it fits horribly here. And he's not probably ready for this. They're stretching it out here. And based on the last effort, I could say, okay, yeah, the stretch out makes sense. But I'm not going to question Bill Mott. Bill Mott's a Hall of Fame type trainer here, man, and he's got Sammy Camacho on, another local jockey, and with the pedigree here, Union Rags, I don't think distance is going to be a problem. The debut was nice, but that was a sprint. So it's one of those horses that is going to bring a ton of value. I think, I got to look over here for the morning line. The morning line's 4-1. I think that horse is going to go off double digits. And if I was just to say about a tournament play, the 8's probably a tournament play. But, for a cash play, Caleb hit it on the head. I think the 3 is the most likely winner and probably where most of the money's going to go. And as much as I'd like to talk about that horse so I can brag about it winning next weekend, Caleb hit on all the good points. And, there's not much that he missed other than, the layoff to me, 2 months, not a huge deal. The workouts are a little interesting. And, the timing is there. They're 7 days apart roughly. It's just some of the times are a little odd for what Todd does. They seem like they're fast, which I'm not going to argue, say it's a bad thing. It's just something that caught my eye for a Pletcher horse coming off of 8 weeks not raced. Running 59 seconds by Furlongs seems quick for something he does. So maybe the horse is a little wild, a little headstrong, or he's trying something different. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I found myself kind of agreeing with Caleb a little bit here. I really do like the 1. I think Hidden Stash makes a lot of sense. These early races, there's a couple things I always like to see. I like to see horses that have run out to distance already, and I like to see horses that have passed other horses. And this 1 Hidden Stash checks both those boxes. I think 10-1 is more than fair. If you're going to get it or not, I don't know. The figs do look real competitive, kind of like Caleb was stating. I'm actually not very interested in the 3. I know both of you guys are talking about. The Briz figs look very strong. So maybe this horse is just the best horse here, because I think this horse has probably got the best figures. Is definitely number 1 in prime power. So this will probably end up being your favorite if prime power has anything to say about it, which it is usually pretty good at guessing who the favorite's going to be. So I wouldn't be surprised if this 3 is the favorite. The horse that you guys didn't really talk about that I was interested in is this 5 Smiley Sabotka. The pedigree is kind of, Brody's Cause, which is I think is freshman sire last year, I'm thinking. But is Giants Causeway. So I don't think distance is going to be a problem for this horse. And this horse has run 2 very, very good races at mile and 16th. Second at that grade 2 at Churchill Downs. I always forget what it is. It's the Kentucky Jockey Club.
Yes.
Right. Okay. They give me 4 letters, and I got to guess what the hell the name of the stakes race is. But ran second to keep me in mind in that race. So I'm interested in this horse. Hopefully we get a little bit better of a price than 3-1. But has run, like I said, 2 good races at the distance, similar to the 1. But I mean, if you're getting the same price on the 1 as you are the 5, I can't put too much between them, I don't think. I mean, I guess the 5's figs is technically a little better and is a little classier, but the 7, I know, Brian, you talked about. This is a horse that is local to Florida, is used to that the speedy tracks that are out there in Florida, is probably going to be your pace setter here. And you got Gallardo aboard, who is very aggressive and hits at almost 30% on like speed horses. So the horse has been working out great. So I think that this might be a good spot. The fig last time maybe was maybe it just freaked on the mud. Maybe it looks like Perspective is hitting at like 20% on mud starts. So maybe this is just a mudder, and that last effort was just because of the sloppy track. But I am interested in that horse. I was also interested in the 9 Candyman Rocket. I think you're going to get less of a price, and I think the distance is a question mark. But I mean, I don't know, these horses stretching out. It's a Bill Mott horse, which tends to get better and better as these horses start more and more. You get Junior Alvarado aboard. Shout out to Chase with his Junior's memes and all other kinds of spam. But when I saw 10-1, like originally I thought this horse might be like second choice on the morning line. If this horse is like anywhere near a good price, I mean, I'm very interested. I was trying to poke holes in this horse. I was like, how am I not going to love this horse? Because this horse is going to be too short. So I'll let the tote board kind of dictate that if I'm playing this, if I'm playing single race kind of stuff. But I think Candyman Rocket's definitely a horse I'm going to use horizontally there. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, so I kind of landed on the same courses that you guys did, the 3 and the 5 predominantly. If you're a trip handicapper, go take a look at from sort of the near corner, top of the stretch corner on known agenda down this front stretch. Talk about having every excuse in the world. The horse was 6 wide. Horse got bumped multiple times in the stretch. Fairly brutal trip, and it's a horse that I think has some excuses there. I won't talk either the 3 or the 5 to death. I think everybody here has just talked about it. I think that the line on known agenda is just really bad. The one horse that's a bit of a price that I will throw out there that we haven't talked about is the 10 Ricochet. Kelsey Danner trained horse, who's been fairly decent trainers of late. And we're talking about these horses that with a local start. Tampa's a quirky track. You want to have it start over the surface. Horse does have 2 starts over the surface, one last time out in a very, very visually impressive performance. Again, don't know if this horse can actually pass any other horses, but you're definitely getting a price here to figure it out. And they're calling for some weather potential late in the day on Saturday. Thunderstorms up to 3/4 of an inch of rain. If it gets a little bit wet, Ricochet is a horse with big Tomlinson figures and would be a horse that could definitely handle some off going. So there's a lot to like there, and a horse that's a bit of a price, on the morning line. I think 9 is your other Tomlinson horse. So the rain looks like it'll kind of start after the races, but in case it gets there a little bit early and it gets a little wet, the 9 and the 10 are 2 horses at prices that make a lot of sense in the wet.
Yeah, I just to add to that, I think you also move up to 7 just because of its last out effort.
Yeah, horses 2 for 3 over and off track. Yeah, that would make sense.
And the 7 has never ran on a fast track. I was hoping to see that horse on a fast track showing with the speed that he's showing so far, but that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Anyone got anything else to add on this one?
I mean, put it this way. I think when I handicap this race, just so Caleb knows, I basically use the whole field. So figure out who the favorite is, just bet that horse, and you'll be good to go, Caleb.
I mean, this could be a tough one to actually find the favorite. I think it's known agenda, but there's a couple of horses that are probably going to be in that 5-2 ballpark. I think that line on Vocal Boys, I think, is horrible. 5-1, he's probably going to be 15-1.
Like I get it, right? Like the morning line is an absolutely thankless job. I think Nick Tamero was out there on Twitter, just like, I mean, he was giving himself shit for making a bad line on some horse, and I forgot what it was. It was making a bad line on a horse he had at like Sam Houston that he thought had no shot, and like ended up winning a stakes at Gulfstream or something because it ran at Gulfstream instead. And he's like, well, I guess I missed that one. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just tough. It's tough making a line, but like at the same time, like sometimes like when you look ahead, and Mark, I know you're a formulator guy, and you like to completely you take the morning line off. And like I find that does sometimes help, especially with that first pass, because you're going into it without like knowing what other people's preconceived notion of price is going to be. So it's going to be I don't know what it is with Florida and morning lines, but they just like haven't been both Gulfstream and Tampa have not been great. You know who else's morning line's pretty bad? Turf Paradise. You know how I found that out?
You're betting $2,400 claimers at Turf Paradise. I just want to put that out there.
I mean, that guy, the guy that makes the line at Turf Paradise probably also has to water the track, work out the horses, and like sell popcorn. So,
in fairness,
I'd probably
it's
give him a break.
tournament money. It's not real. Well, I guess it technically is real money, but that's what I get. That's what I get for winning. I still can't believe that. Got Thursday featured with freaking Turf Paradise races. That was nuts.
So I want to point out, you mentioned Turf Paradise and how you got into that. This would have been the weekend for the NHC. So this is what winter horse racing is, Josh. It's garbage. If you're not playing Gulfstream Park or Santa Anita's 5-horse fields, winter racing sucks. Let's just call it what it is.
If I ever want to do the NHC, I need to get used to it.
No, do it this year, and you can play good tracks like Saratoga and Del Mar.
It's too late. They stopped qualifying as of December. Now it's next February.
They stopped qualifying last week. January 21st was the last go.
Yeah, it's all right. I'll if I ever like qualify for a live money event and it's like a consolation prize, you get an NHC seat. Like I'll do it, but I don't know if trying to qualify for that is necessarily the EV play, but that's a discussion for another time. We can cover that in our tournament video, Mark. I just flashed open our next race here. All right, the Grade 3 Tampa Bay Stakes. Who hasn't gone first yet? Brian.
I guess it's me.
Yeah, what are you thinking here?
Well, for the record, I should probably mention that I haven't really looked at this race yet. So I'm just gonna go with the fancy liquor and move on, because that's what you do on a weekend when you have no other idea. But no, looking at this one, I think this race is going to be probably one of the closer races of the weekend, and it's obviously it's a Grade 3 for 4-year-olds and up, and there's a lot of horses here that are career horses that you've never heard of before, or the casual fans never heard of before, that it's going to race for money, and it's going to be a heck of a race. I think there's 12 horses here, and you could make an argument for 5 or 6 horses. If you're playing horizontally at Tampa in the late pick 5, this is the opening leg, and this is one of the hardest races that you could have this weekend. So with that being said, I think you single a chalk and move on. No. So just kidding. I wish I don't have time for them in front of me. There's a couple of foreign horses here, like the 4 Talk or Listen, I think it is, the 4 from Ireland. Very interesting horse, looking at the running lines, and it looks like a lot of good form, or a lot of good class back there, and it's something that interests me for Delacour and Centeno to team up at what is going to be a price. I think the morning line's 15-1, and that's probably a very fair price. But with that being said, admission office we've all heard about before. Julian's, no surprise, Julian's back on the admission office. But I don't know, man. I don't mean to sit here and sound like I'm an idiot or I've had too much bourbon. I just can't get a handle on this race. I'd like to say that admission office is going to sit a perfect trip, but I don't know if I can trust Julian in a 12-horse field, to be quite honest.
I'll jump in and save you on this one, Brian. I'll jump in and save you on this. And the big issue I have with admission office is I think that the distance is going to be too sharp for admission office. I actually really think I think looking at the pace of this race and looking at I see a fair bit of speed signed up here, and which makes sense. I feel like in Florida we see a lot more speed on the turf than we do out east, or I'm gonna say out east, but I mean New York. So I think that this would set up really nicely for a horse like admission office if they were going like a mile and a half. I don't know. I think that this is just going to be too sharp. If you look at admission offices races, it just tends to do better going longer. So I have a hard time taking a short price on this horse. I see 6-1 on the morning line, but seeing as this is one of the few horses in this race I actually recognize, I would not be surprised if this horse takes more money. At 6-1, I mean, you could talk me into taking a shot at admission office. I just don't think you're going to get 6-1 on this horse. But go ahead. Who else were you kind of looking at here?
You saved me with admission office, but you can tell by the way we're both talking that this race is a tricky one to formulate an opinion on here. And I
mean, Caleb already knows who I want to bet.
I'm sure.
Caleb.
I'm so torn.
One of my
wait. Who's the cheap speed? Who's the cheap
Caleb?
speed?
No, Caleb knows my big turf angle.
Proven strategies has to be your horse.
No, Caleb knows my turf angle.
Your turf angle is probably Solo Volante, just because you love
Caraconti, baby. Let's go. Caraconti on the turf. I actually am very interested in Sol Volante in this race because of one, the pedigree, Caraconti. I think Sol Volante is going to be better as a turf horse. So it's nice that they got, they took their shot in the Kentucky Derby. Hooray! Now, okay, you're actually a turf horse, and you're actually bred to go long on the turf. Just do that now. So. There's a couple of question marks I have, such as Robbie Alvarado on the turf,
or at all.
I mean, technically he's not any worse on the turf than he is in general, so I guess you can't really hold that against him. But I think I really think Sol Volante has got a future ahead of him as a black type, grade 3 type turf horse, especially with his run style, liking to come off the pace. I think that this is going to set up really nice for Sol Volante. I wanted to avoid most of the forward place horses. Like I said, I was interested in admission office at the price of 6-1. I don't think we're going to get it. I also do not think my other top choice, the 12 Grays Creek, am I going to get near the price for this horse. Now, this horse is definitely got a lot of red flags. Chad tried this horse on the dirt first, which is usually never a good sign. I think I don't know if Caleb was just like trying to cover his face because he doesn't want to be associated with the stream anymore after me making the case for this 12, because I think this is the type of horse he likes to bet against. It took 5 tries for Chad to break this horse's maiden, but since this horse has broken its maiden, has not lost a race, and has been all on turf. So I'm real interested in this horse. I think once again, this is going to be this horse is going to have some pace to run into, and I don't think that this horse is going to want to be very close to the lead. So I just think this horse is just going to trip out. What price we get on a Chad Brown horse at Tampa Bay? Probably 2-1, 5-2 in that range. But this is going to be a horse that I'm going to want to use. So the horses I'm going to be using here are going to be the Grays Creek admission office and Sol Volante.
You're on the wrong Chad Brown horse, Josh. Just letting you know.
I'm on the wrong Chad Brown horse?
No, he's not on the right Chad horse.
That's the right Chad horse. If you think there's a lot of speed here, the 12 is probably where you want to put your money. I mean, if you're going to take an off the pace type, what are you looking at? You're looking at the 12, the 9, maybe the 2. With the right trip. So I think that's the right play, Josh. I think that's the right way to look at this race, because there does seem to be some cheaper horses that I'm trying to decipher and I just can't yet. So I'll let Mark and Caleb tell me what they think about speed, and then I'll take whichever one they don't.
I can hop in here. I'm a big time form guy, and I'm a big time form on turf guy. And there's 3 horses in this race which stand out on time form as far as figs. Those are going to be the 2, which we've already mentioned. One second. So the 2 that we've already mentioned in Missing Office, I do agree with Josh. I think it's probably a little sharp for him, but it wouldn't shock me if he could put it together, albeit with a different jock.
Yeah, it's just one of those cases, right? Where
he runs better than a mile and a half. No, you're right.
It's just one of those cases, though, that this race might just be that soft that he's just got the most class and he just wins, even though this is going to be too sharp for him. I mean, I don't know.
Now, right now, you have the proper Chad Brown horse up, which is the horse that has the fastest time form fig in the field, and that's Delaware, the 5. Delaware is going to be forwardly placed and can kind of invent his own trip. And I think, in my mind, this race sets up is I think Proven Strategies gets out, gets loose. Proven Strategies can't get any more than a mile. Between a mile and 1.16 he officially falls off a cliff and stops. And I think somebody like Delaware is such a trip where he can just has a target, take over mid stretch, and he can crank. Delaware is going to be my top pick. The other horse that I liked in here, and was the other horse that sort of stood out on time form figs, was the 11 Armistice Day. Was a horse that you can beat up on the jock all you want, but if you go back to some of those turf races, you have some dirtied up form here with, the couple synthetic races at Woodbine. If you go back to some of that Woodbine turf form, or even some of the Gulfstream Park turf form prior to that, those figs really tower over the rest of this field. So I was absolutely shocked when I looked at what morning lines were in this race and looking at figures that I use, and just sort of scratching my head and going, either the morning lines here in this race on somebody like an Armistice Day or a Delaware are really, really wrong, or there's a ton of value in this race.
Yeah, so I'm going to take a bold stand here. I think Gray's Creek wins this race. If I play anything at Tampa horizontally, he's a single. I was against this horse as much as you could ever be against a horse when he came back off the layoff, and it was 0 for 4, and now tried dirt, then went to turf, and it was that Churchill race. I was very against this horse, and he blew me away. Visually, this horse looked so fucking good. And I've been on him in his last 2 starts. I think at the end of this year, he will be Chad Brown's best male turf horse. I think this horse is the goods, and I am going to be all in on Gray's Creek. Delaware, I don't care what time form says. I can't bet that horse until he gets a win within 2,000 miles of Delaware, which he hasn't done yet. So I'll let the male version of my sister Nat beat me. That being said, I'd be super interested in either the 3 or the 6 if one of them would scratch. With both of them being in, I think that they're probably just going to whack each other on the front end and set it up for one of the closers. A horse like Admissions Office or whoever else I think could be like a B for me, but I'm going to be pretty heavy through Gray's Creek. I think this horse, honestly reminds me of Bricks and Mortar getting good, late in his career after having some soundness issues and missing some time. And this horse, I think, is the real deal, but I guess we'll see.
I was about to make a comment about just like how well bred for the turf this horse is, but then I look at the breeding for Delaware, and I was like, that horse might be better bred. So, I flashed it real quick, but Steven's making jokes in chat, and he's saying that I'm trying to one-up Pack with stupid Tampa picks. He also says that in 3 years we'll be seeing the Sol Volante and King G Stakes races, and Channel Maker will still be running.
Oh God,
both of those things are probably true.
I think you're right, Josh, with Sol Volante. I think he's better on turf, but he's one of those horses that everybody knows from the Derby Trail that will get overbet for the next year. So I probably won't go there on a value perspective, but I do think he's a better turf horse.
Yeah, I agree. He's a better 15-1 in the morning line. Like he's going to go off at 15-1 in Tampa.
Go ahead.
I was going to agree with you. I think he's a better turf horse. He's just not fast enough.
I think you're going to make, finishing 11th in the Kentucky Derby an angle here, Josh. I think this is something we're going to have to look at going forward when Sol Volante wins.
Dude, I'll be honest, I didn't even know Sol Volante ran in the Derby this year. So
because he finished
I knew he was on the trail. I just didn't even know he ran.
Because he finished 20 lengths behind the winner, and it was a weak 3-year-old crop. So that should tell you everything you need to know about February for that horse.
What did Sol Volante win last year? The Sam F. Davis? Is that?
Yes, he won the Sam F. Davis. And then he got destroyed by King G in the Tampa Derby. Destroyed by a horse that just looked absolute like dog.
That's right. And then
on the left coast. So yeah.
And then he came back in that optional claimer, right? And it was Chivalry and that other who's that other speed horse?
Jesus' team.
No, well, Jesus' team was in there, but
was
there was
that
that other
8th Indian race.
Yeah, Ete Indian, who finished dead last.
Where is that horse?
I think I don't know. He's been off forever.
And then you're like, oh man, maybe Sol Volante is coming back, and then fucking just didn't run a step.
Well, they wheeled him back in 10 days into the fucking Belmont Stakes. That's a tough turnaround.
Maybe they should have ran him in the other Belmont Stakes, the one that's on turf, the Belmont Derby.
Yeah.
After listening to you guys talk, I'm really glad I went with Fancy Liquor in my quick first choice.
That's the favorite who we've hardly talked about. I don't think he'll go off as the favorite, but
Me either. I think.
I mean,
Chad
he was
Brown-
only beaten less than 4 lengths to Colonel Liam, who just won the Pegasus. Well, I mean, I think I don't know who that horse is. I've never heard of him, but
right. In all fairness, I mean, Chad Brown's going to be the favorite here, but looking at the run lines of Fancy Liquor, and if that horse goes off, it's 5-1, 6-1. I don't know how you don't include. And I like the horse. In this field, and if we're going to go at the whole 3 and 6 are going to burn each other out. 10 might get the first run at the leaders. You're talking about Diaz Jr. He's a 20% jockey down there at Tampa, so he's going to be in the right spot.
Yeah, I really can't fault Fancy Liquor. His American Turf was painful for me. Let's put it that way.
me too.
There's a little bit of spite in there somewhere.
Yeah, me too.
Oh yeah, why don't you let it all out? Let it all out. Tell them where do they touch you?
I very inappropriately, and I don't have Caleb level of spite for older turf horses, so I just can't go there. Although one of these races later on, we're gonna have to have Caleb talk about one horse, just one race from one horse. We'll get there. Yeah.
Does it happen to be the King Cotton Stakes at OAKLAWN?
No, it doesn't actually.
Because that's where we're going to next. King Cotton Stakes at OAKLAWN.
We
had some discussion here. I want to bring this up because I feel like the people need to know. We had some discussion. We were going through the races for this. I had an original list of races that I wanted to cover, and Caleb was just indignant. He was just indignant because I think I had an additional Tampa race on here, and then I had a different Santa Anita race. And he was just indignant. He was like, absolutely not. Are we covering 3 Tampa races? So the King Cotton Stakes got brought into the mix because one of my favorite horses is running in this race, which is the 8-5 favorite Flagstaff here at OAKLAWN Park. I had a significant amount of money going through this horse at the Count Fleet last year. I thought off that San Carlos that he was going to come in this Count Fleet and just
that's where Chase and I got 3-1 on Whitmore, and we couldn't shovel money at the window fast enough. Correct? That would be the race, and then we were gloating for like weeks about the fact that okay, cool, good. Just check.
And Flagstaff almost won.
If Flagstaff didn't almost win, Josh, you apparently are thinking about the wrong race.
I am thinking about the wrong race. You know what race I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of the other horse that I really like, Ollie's Candy, who almost wired that race at CC1. So yes, I got the 2 races mixed up. Flagstaff came from like out of nowhere and finished second in this race. But I was interested in Flagstaff mostly because Rosario was riding lights out at the time. I think he's just got an easier field here. My big concern with Flagstaff is 7 now. Obviously, it did not slow Whitmore down, but I have a. Just looking at this race, I just don't. There's nothing that really moves. I mean, like I guess you could make a case for a horse like Strike Power possibly as being, maybe getting out in the lead, but it seems like 7 Nation Army and Mr. Jägermeister are both gonna, press him a little bit. So I don't know. I just think this is gonna set up nicely for Flagstaff. I have a hard time looking past the horse here. Caleb, what do you think?
Yeah, so I think someone asked it in chat, and it's the same question I had. Yeah, John, Sweet Sassy John Massey, asking the questions that people want to know is where's the pace coming from? And I don't know.
Strike Power.
My guess is Strike Power, and that's actually the horse I landed on as my top pick. Strike Power used to be a nice sprinter, like at one point in mid 2019. Gave Catalina Cruiser everything he could handle in the True North at Belmont. Won a couple nice optional claiming races. And then things kind of just went sideways for Strike Power. He didn't quite do very well when he was sent to Saratoga. He kind of got stuck on that dead rail, which was bad for most of the 2019 meet. They tried turf, which didn't work. They laid him up. He came back. Just wasn't the same horse. Leaves Mark Hennig's barn and goes into the Assman barn. And if there's one thing we know that Steve Asmussen can do, it's train really good sprinters. He seems like he has 2 or 3 of the leading contenders for the Breeders' Cup Sprint every single year. So this is a horse that ran like he needed a race last time out. It was his first start in 11 months. And, he ran an optional 80. To me, that just screams prep race. He showed that he still owns that early speed and just needed a little bit of fitness. I think he got that stamina boost out of that race. And I think he's going to be awful tough here. Second off the layoff with the inside draw, should be on the front. I know the rail at OAKLAWN hasn't been very good, but I do think this horse should be clear enough that he shouldn't get pinned to that fence unless that's what Ricardo Santana Jr. decides to do. Flagstaff's the other horse that might show speed, but I would be surprised if he does. Most of his wins in his better races have been when he's been sitting off the pace. And despite the fact that he ran a nice second place last time out, I also think he's a horse that's just way better going 7 furlongs. I think 6 is a little bit on the sharp side for him. So he's probably the most likely horse to run second, but I don't know that he's a horse that I'm going to be rushing to bet at 8-5. So I'm going to be mostly through strike power. You can make a case for almost anybody in this race. So I'm not going to talk about the rest of the field, but strike power is my number 1 pick. And that's where I would probably concentrate most of my play. And that 3-1 line, I think, is more than fair if you can actually get that.
There's actually a couple of really good questions in chat that I feel like we need to talk about before we move on. The first question is from John Massey. Will Vic actually call the correct finish line for this race?
Will Vic know which horse is actually in front at the top of the stretch? Should be a better conversation.
Did he call the wrong finish line in a race today?
Yes, he
oh
did.
no,
Yes.
Vic! What is
Will Vic call any horse a bitch by accident?
Yeah,
Well,
I'm still waiting for tight bitches to cross the finish line for my
And Steve and I will take about as much money as you will take on that line for him calling Whitmore at some point during this race, because I looked at this race and the first thing I thought is, where's Whitmore? Why is Whitmore not going to win this for the 37th time? Yeah, I don't know if you have any more comments from the chat channel, Josh.
No, that was the other one I wanted to bring up was 3-5 on Vic saying Whitmore during this race.
Yeah, okay. No, so I completely agree with Caleb in here for like the 4th time in this thing. I don't know how this is happening, but I think strike power gets super loose in here. He's my top pick. Obviously Santana had choice between him and Seven Nation Army. Obviously Santana's going to probably take the Asmussen mount no matter what, but he theoretically did have choice. Goes to strike power. And if you watched OAKLAWN today, if the track continues to play as it did today, speed was very, very, very good all day today. And I would agree that the rail wasn't the place you wanted to be, but I don't know if the rail was necessarily bad. We did see a lot of horses from way outside winning, but I think the speed bias was more pronounced. Now, is that a factor of they got a little rain, tightened the track up a little bit, speed was just better? I don't really know, but I think strike power just makes a ton of sense in here. And the other horse that I really liked quite a bit was Seven Nation Army. I think he's not going to be as forwardly placed as as strike power, but he's a pretty tactical horse, and a horse that can kind of sit back, stalk, and see what happens. He's obviously 6-year-old, but he's 5-19 at this distance, 3 of 9 at OAKLAWN. So he likes to track, he likes the distance. This is sort of his trip, and he's the kind of horse that if it sets up in front of him right, I don't see why he can't run down strike power in the lane. And really beyond that, I can make a case for everybody else, but I think to me it's strike power or Seven Nation Army, and then a pretty big gap to the remaining 3.
Mark, I wanted to ask you before anyone else jumps in, did you give any weight to Ron Moquett having a starter in this race that's not Whitmore with Seven Nation Army? We all ask, where's Whitmore? And Moquett has a horse in here. And I'm just wondering, is this horse stupid live and that's why he's here? Or does Whitmore just need more time off because he's a senior citizen now? Or what's the deal? Do you think it's just nothing?
I couldn't make hide nor hair of it. To me, I think you could take it one of about 10 different ways. Maybe this horse is just super live and Moquett wants him here. I tend to read it more is the fact that I think Whitmore's older. They've been limiting his campaign. I think he probably only runs 3 or 4 times this year. They probably run him in, they'll give him 4 weeks outside of the count fleet. They'll give him an optional 80 or something. They'll literally card a race for Whitmore to win as a prep for the count fleet because it's Whitmore and it's OAKLAWN. And then they'll probably try to campaign him, run him at Keeneland, run him at Saratoga, and point him for the Breeders' Cup, and then that's his swan song, and he retires at the end of that. So my thought was more along the lines that you're talking again another fairly senior citizen. Seven Nation Army is 6 after all, and that's getting up there. I didn't make a ton of it though. I like the horse either way, but I didn't necessarily say, geez, him being here, is he super live, and that's why Whitmore isn't here. There's too many ways you can look at that.
John Massey is saying that Ramon's got a really good read for how the track is playing. So
I would agree. He's looked really good today, and he seemed to have a real good feel for the track. And I think Ramon is somebody who he's not getting the quality of mounts that somebody like a Santana is getting, but he's making the most of that slightly lower cut mount, and that's what he was doing all day today. And I would completely agree with Massey.
Ramon Vasquez was like, he's not. Is he an old guy or is he like a younger guy?
I think he's younger. I would have to look.
It was like I off on the side, but like, didn't he win wasn't he like a top apprentice or something, like maybe like 5-6 years ago or something like that?
He graduated from apprentice school in 2002.
2002, so 18 years ago. Yeah, so not even close.
Looks like he's 36.
I'm thinking of the other. There's another Vasquez, right?
I just want to point out his birthday is January 14th, 1984. That's a great day.
See, this is why I don't attempt to pretend like I know anything about history of horse racing, because I was way off on that one. And it was another Ez that I must have been thinking of.
You just have to know who else has a birthday on your day, and he is one. So cheers, Ramon Vasquez.
Steve is mentioning that Santana did have a fall today. Are we sure he's good? I was actually thinking the same thing. I saw it was a pretty nasty spill he took. I know he walked off under
everybody walked off. The horse and the jock walked off. So my tendency would be if the jockey walked off, he's fine. And it's Santana. He's a fairly kind of tough as they come type of jock.
And the professor.
Oh no, they're going to run Whitmore in the count fleet. They're going to go for 5. Why wouldn't they? I mean, of course they are. Of course they are.
The professor says that probably the hot springs and then the count fleet.
That could be. I mean, I could also see them taking. Maybe they do it that way. I could also see them taking the line of, hey, we'll give him a cupcake race, let him get a warm up. That's a nice easy race, and then point him for the count fleet.
You got my attention with the word cupcake.
Well, how about ice cream with bourbon? Would that get your attention even more?
Did I send that to you earlier today?
You may have. I am in the bourbon chat. So
did I? I don't remember if I sent that to you guys or not. There was what was it? It was
Buffalo Trace with
a pint of Buffalo Trace into a pint
peanut butter. What was
peanut
it with
butter.
peanut butter? Peanut butter.
Apparently, I'm guessing
that
he was
sounds
trying
just
to make
amazing.
peanut butter whiskey. Is that what he was trying to do? Did he think that if he put a pint of Buffalo Trace with a pint of peanut butter, he would just like get screwball? Like, did he think that's how it's made? Like, I'm not very sure what the whole point of that was. But apparently he thought that he'd get something, and so instead he like froze it. I don't know, dude. That was some freaking story, man. I was thoroughly confused as to what the point of that whole thing was. But yeah, apparently he I don't know, he tried to make something out of that.
But by the way, Josh, before we move on, I will say that what was I going to actually say? It would be very interesting if they rename the count fleet to the Whitmore before he runs in it once again. I mean, I think that's because that race is going to be renamed the Whitmore. I mean, they have to at this point, right?
I think Winks ran in the Winks Stakes, right? So why not?
Yeah, Winks did run in the Winks. So why couldn't Whitmore run in the Whitmore? I mean, it's going to happen.
All right, let's move on to our last race here. We got the Grade 3 Thunder Road at Santa Anita. I know I was actually looking forward to the Santa Anita card last weekend. I thought that they had a really nice card set up for last weekend, and then the weather obviously decided that they needed that they had other ideas about that. Wait, you don't want to talk about OAKLAWN, Mr. Backlash? Did I skip you?
I'm not going to talk about it.
Oh, how did I? All right. Hold on. Wait. Hold on.
You can replay it if you'd like. But no, it's okay. I got nothing of value to add. We'll just move on.
So we're at OAKLAWN Park, King Cotton Stakes.
This isn't live, right?
You know, for the record, Josh, I don't even think you talked about the OAKLAWN race.
Yeah, I said Flagstaff done. And then Caleb was immediately like, fuck Flagstaff. And then I believe in chat, someone said, Road Warrior said, Flagstaff, the second greatest small city in America. I think Mark Capitan knows the first. I said Reno. Apparently that was the incorrect answer.
We got there, and then we started talking about Backlash, and then you just moved up straight on to Santa Anita. What I want to say is if this feels like Santa Anita already. This is a great field for California. 7 horses, 6 horses. Really excited to take the Baffert here. Oh, shit, it's OAKLAWN. But no. I'm just going to be different. You guys want the 1, you want the 3, take the 1 and the 3. I think the 4 and 5 produce the winner here. And I say this just because I'm going to take the other ass man with the 5. Just gelded. And I do like the Delta Downs victory last out. That was a warm-up race. Now he's coming in here. And if you can toss the last, the May and April races, what you got from this horse at OAKLAWN Park last year were some numbers that can win this race. And this is the kind of horse that goes off. He's a 5-1 morning line. Wouldn't surprise me if we don't see this horse at 12-1 coming across the line first. But I just want to throw that out there. I think it's an interesting thing. We always talk about when the trainers got 2 in our field. We always talk about the second entry. Everybody ignores.
And the other Asmussen does work. The other Chad, the other Asmussen. There's certain trainers that the other is the play, and Asmussen is one of them.
He is, and this horse just got gelded too, which is one of my favorite angles in racing, especially for a sprinter. So this is just a horse that I thought was interesting. The speed figures, you have to draw a lot of lines through this horse, but this horse's best effort can win this race. All right, Josh.
John Massey bringing up the other Cox as the other angle.
Brad Cox doesn't tend to be that way. Brad Cox tends to be the logical Cox is the logical Cox. He doesn't tend to be the other type of a trainer. That's
correct. And Chase is the hot Cox guy. I am the ass man. So we can move on now.
I actually do. I like your pick here of the 4. I thought the 4 had a nice run over the track. Mucho last time out. So. That's interesting. Now in the John Ortiz barn, he hasn't exactly had a great start to the OAKLAWN meet. He normally is in like the low teens. I want to say he's like a 12 or 13% guy, I think. But he's not exactly off to a great start. Has Joe Talamo not been riding at?
Oh no, he has. He just sucks.
Okay, no. They have him at 0% at OAKLAWN. So I'm just kind of curious. I didn't realize that. I know he had started riding there a bunch, so
I thought he was the second or third leading jock there last OAKLAWN. He was pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how he is this year.
All right. Thanks, Josh. Thanks for wheeling back around for me.
Hey, I always like to wheel my picks back.
Well, if that's the case, I should have been second because that's your favorite place position.
It depends on the bet. You saw that you saw that try I put together today at OAKLAWN where I had first and second flipped, and the 25-1 I had came in third. So
normally, if Josh plays a trifecta, he has first.
I have the horses.
Third.
You gotta figure out what order.
You take a Josh exacta and you turn it into a trifecta, and you figure out who's the second place horse. That's all you have to do. It's pretty easy.
It's a damn shame. Well, we're going to move on here to the Thunder Road here at Santa Anita. As to not forget you, Brian.
No, I don't want to now. I'm looking away. I'm not talking to you right now.
You're not talking to me.
No, you know what you did. No.
Okay, Steven.
Oh man! All right, this race actually has more entries than the OAKLAWN Park race. So I just want to point that out for everybody that hates California racing. This is a big field, and it's a crap field. I'm just going to leave it there. Mark's going to take the 2 because Ravioli's riding, and we'll just move on from there. I like Bob and Jackie. Baltus's horse here. I think the horse is going to be forwardly placed. If you look at the last 2, had before the layoff and after the August race, the horse kind of tried to rate. Came back now and has been a little bit more aggressive. Not sure if they changed complete tactics or they just realized something with this horse. So I do like Bob and Jackie here. Second off the layoff. Obviously, the jockey sucks for me. I'm not a big fan of Figueroa on the mount, but that will just lead me to save some price or save some value here. And the horse should be forwardly placed, and I like him. The other one that I hate that's going to take a lot of money is the Miller and Rosario combo down on Hembry. But I'll let somebody else talk about Hembry because I have a feeling it's going to be somebody's pick in this video segment. So I'll just,
I can talk against Hembry off that last if that's what you want to go with, where Hembry had the luckiest ride in the history of California horse racing, skirting the rail and getting absolutely just the seas parted, and Hembry had a perfect trip up the rail. To me, that's a figure that was massively flattered. It's a horse you feel like you defensively have to use, but I can't get super excited about Hembry in this field.
No, I think you're spot on there. Especially with the way California racing's been. If the rail's not perfect and Joel is Joel, he's going to get pretty far back, as we know.
Yeah.
Even last out, he was 6 lengths back. 6 lengths back right now, the way California's racing is more than I want to try to overcome, especially the horse that's going to be, 9-5? 2-1, maybe? That's just not something I'm looking at. So that's how I ended up on Bob and Jackie. Forwardly placed horse, logical position. My only fear is the horse might be one of those types that likes to just hang. And, 5 starts at Santa Anita. Been in the money 4 times, just only the 1 win. Hopefully something different can happen this weekend and get over the hump. The morning line's 5-2. I think that's probably a little short. I think I might actually be able to get 4-1 here. Other than that, there wasn't too much I liked here. I mean, like I said, hit the road's going to take a lot of money. Hit the road makes a lot of sense here. If you look at what this horse has done on turf, it matches the par for this level and for California. It's just, Dan Blacker, if you're not following California racing, it isn't exactly great in stakes races. It's not somebody that really warms your heart when you think about having a horse you want to single or something. So it'll be interesting to see how you guys land here because there's a few different ways you could go, and I'm going to take the front runner.
Yeah, I'm not going to be super creative. I'm going to pretty much agree with Brian. I'm going to take the front runner again. If you're a time form person, which I tend to find works really well in California turf racing, with also the understanding that that you want to be forwardly placed, Bob and Jackie makes a ton of sense. Jock scares the hell out of me, but I think Hembry got an absolute perfect setup in that last out. That fig came back massive. I think it was more a factor of that trip and just getting absolutely the perfect trip. I like Bob and Jackie in here quite a lot. I really tried to make a case for the 1 Sombaye, but that horse just is not fast enough in any sort of figure that I'm looking at. Is going to get the absolute perfect setup in here, though. Is going to be sitting right behind Bob and Jackie. And if Bob and Jackie's not good enough, Juan has been riding absolutely phenomenal. He's been doing great on turf. I think I have a feeling, I don't know if he can go with Bob and Jackie, but he can at least apply a little bit of pressure and try to take over top of the stretch. Obviously we've seen since the California whip rule change, you do not, like Brian said, you don't want to be more than, let's say, 3 or 4 lengths off from it. Deep closers are just not getting there. I tend to say Bob and Jackie's the most logical winner, and I don't want to try to reinvent the wheel in here. But the one horse that I did need Caleb's help in taking a look at a race in here was the 5 Campaign, who I found to be a touch interesting. And I was hoping Caleb could help me out and kind of dissect the September 7th of 2019 race at the Kentucky Turf Cup at Kentucky Downs. What would you make of that race, Caleb?
Man, Cam fucking Payne. This horse, he's bred to be fine on turf. And he has wins on turf. I think I was actually on him underneath that day. I didn't have the horses who won. I can't recognize the abbreviations for the horses.
You had Arklow that day, didn't you?
I guarantee you I did not have Arklow that day.
I'm pretty sure you had Arklow that day. There was a day that you had Arklow. You were all about Arklow.
That is actually the race that gave birth to the T-shirt, the Zulu Alpha T-shirt. That is
sorry, that's 2019. I thought it was 2020. I remember there was a 2020 race that you were all over.
2.5 years ago.
I remember there was a 2020 race you were all over Arklow. So
yeah, if Stephen Fox, I don't know if he's still in the chat, but this was the race that born the Zulu Alpha hatred. But nevertheless, Campaign can't win this race. But what I will say is that anybody else probably can. Campaign's the only horse I don't think could win this race, unless, they all of a sudden add about 2 more turns. But anybody else, this was a tough race. I had a hard time with this race. I thought that was a really bad line on Bob and Jackie. I didn't think that horse would go off as the favorite. So I'm a little surprised that both Mark and Brian like him here. I'm not against the horse by any means. I think a 1.8 miles is probably just too far. I think a mile's kind of perfect for him. But I was a little bit skeptical. The fig came back pretty big last time, but both Another Twist of Fate and Nick Shares came back to flop pretty bad in the Pegasus turf last weekend or 2 weeks ago. So, that kind of makes me a little dubious of, how good that fig really was. Santa Anita has had some known timing issues on their turf races this year as well. So I'm a little skeptical of Bob and Jackie here. He probably gets the lead. Maybe he's good enough to just take him all the way. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sneaky pace pressure from a horse like the 6 award winner, maybe even a horse like the 3 Restrained Vengeance. So I really, like I said, I could have gone about half a dozen different ways here. It's a race I really struggled with. I do like Hit the Road, given that his 3-year-old form is competitive and he hasn't raced since July. So if Hit the Road improves at all from 3 to 4, as you probably should expect, he's going to be very tough here. My big question is this really kind of the end game here? Is he going to need a race? He didn't really show much in that 4.5 dirt sprint in his maiden. So we don't really know how he does off of long layoffs for the most part. He did win off that December to May layoff, so it seems like he fires fresh. He also showed some improved tactical speed where he wasn't, 7 or 8 lengths off. He was only a length or 2 off the pace. So I do like Hit the Road. I ended up on Sombaye as my top pick, though. And it's mostly going to be kind of a play that I just think East Coast turf horses are better than West Coast turf horses. I know the figs don't really support that. I'm not sure that I totally buy that fig that he ran last out. It seems too slow, at least on Brisnet it does. He comes back to win an optional 100 with the slowest race that he's ran in over a year. I just don't know that I really believe that that's completely legit. I think that Sombaye gets the right trip. He's going to be just off the pace. He should save the ground. It bugs me a little bit that Pratt gets off, but like Mark said, Hernandez has been riding so well that I'm not going to lose sleep over it. So I'm going to really use the most of Sombaye, a little bit of Hit the Road, and pretty much any invader is going to make my ticket here. So Hembry and award winner are both going to be on my tickets here in some capacity. Not that I love either of them, but I just think the company they've been keeping has been a lot better than what they face today. And both of them ran pretty respectable races in their first start in California. So I'll have the most of Sambaye, but I'm going to use a little bit of the new faces for the most part.
Hey, Caleb, I find it interesting that you're taking the Invaders here at Santa Anita. How do you feel about shippers from West Virginia?
They're my third favorite kind of shippers.
I just want to touch base there because you were so high on shippers for this race. I thought it was a little ironic.
I have always said that shippers do better on California turf racing, and if someone didn't bet a shipper in California turf, I don't even know what to say.
I mean, West Virginia is technically on the East Coast.
It is.
Hey, Mark, how do you feel about that?
Mark's going to stay silent. We got a little action in the chat here. Stu is asking, could you also look at Campaign's race from 10-18-18?
Oh my God, he's gonna bring out the fucking almanac. I mean, I don't even have it on my form.
I don't even know if he.
My horse did not run on 10-18-18. It did run on 8. Oh, yeah.
Looks like Steven's saying Kentucky Down spawning the best T-shirts, Zulu Alpha and Morticia. Shout out to Evil Bob Dole with those T-shirts he sent you guys. Although he does say it's not as good as the Wolf of OAKLAWN shirt that Mark is sporting there. I did want to mention we do have some new shirts up in the site with our new logo. So check that out.
Yeah. So Steven just brought up the point. Who on earth would have bet Marzo at Sammy? Like, what were they thinking?
Dude, I have no fucking clue what you guys are thinking, but everyone was on fucking Marzo. I think I ended up betting Marzo because I was stuck so much.
You mean everyone as in one of us?
Well, I was on Marzo too. I can't let.
Josh
were you?
Okay.
I wasn't on Marzo on the stream. Who
was it? Me and Chase.
The Wolf was, yeah.
Yeah, me and Chase.
I ended up getting swept up in the hype and betting Marzo. I don't even remember why. I don't know why I listened to you guys.
Action Jackson.
Just don't listen to Caleb. Caleb's the only one.
But
you don't listen to.
Yeah, so definitely do not listen to Caleb. I am also on Sambaye as the top pick in this race. Not listening to Caleb whatsoever. But I'm going to go a little bit simpler than Caleb. I'm just going to bet Juan on the turf. I mean, I don't know. Like Sambaye has got some back class. I think that. Juan has just been riding lights out on the turf at Santa Anita. He's winning at 21% on the meet right now. And yeah, I kind of agree with you, Caleb. I was kind of shocked that fig that last time out was so low. But I like the way he ran it. He won it. He won it on the lead. And I think that just with the way the whip rules are, that's what you're going to want. Now, is he as fast as the morning line favorites? I already forget. I keep on wanting to call it Jack and Noah, but that's a different horse. Bob and Jackie. Is he as fast as Bob and Jackie? Probably not.
Also, fuck Jack and Noah, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.
But and I don't have as much of a concern over Figueroa as you guys do. I think he's had a bad year. But before last year, before 2020, I thought he was pretty decent on the West Coast. So maybe it's just since he lost his bug, he's getting used to riding with more weight. I don't know, but
hey Josh, just so you know, Juan has been not nearly as good on turf as he has been on dirt. Now that may be a factor, the fact that Rispoli is winning everything that's not tied down on turf, and therefore there's just not a lot of pickings left. But he hasn't been as good on turf as he has been on dirt. He's been absolutely disgustingly lights out on dirt.
Well, good. I'm very glad that you mentioned Rispoli because my other pick in this race is the number 2 Hit the Road. I think his Oceanside was pretty good. I thought it was visually good. I mean, he was the favorite. He should have won the race how he should have. Every time I see a line, he wins. So I am not as concerned about the layoff now. This layoff, from July till now is very long, and I think is the longest that he's had. But I mean, the horse has won every single race off a layoff, a small layoff. So I think this horse is going to fire fresh, so I'm not concerned about the time off. I think once again, this is probably going to be a horse. He's not going to be in the lead. He's not going to be the lead horse, but I don't see Rispoli keeping this horse more than like a length off, and I think he's going to be right in it at the stretch. So I'm going to go with the 1 and the 2 here. I think these are both me forwardly placed horses. I thought the 4-1 was a fair price, but once again, we'll see what the tote says. And see who ends up taking all the money. I mean, maybe Hembry goes off as your favorite. Because what is Hembry?
I would imagine Hembry goes off your favorite. Just on connections. I think a lot of people are going to be scared away by Figueroa, and all that Peter Miller, Joel have been pretty disgustingly good so far this meet.
As a side note, since you said Figueroa has been pretty good, I have a scary stat, Mark, before you put money down on Saturday. Figueroa only won 5 races last year on turf out of 79 starts. And
I did not say he's been very good. He scares the crap out of me on being on that horse, but he's been on that horse for every start. So I mean, they didn't take him off. Is what it is.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see. He had 200 less starts last year than he did the year before, and he moved his tack to Turfway last February. So I don't know if the connections in Kentucky didn't like him.
He got shit mounts in Turfway. I could tell that as somebody who bet a lot of Turfway last year and wasn't proud of it. He did not get good mounts at Turfway. So
if you look him up on Equibase, he scares the crap out of me now. I may come changing a pick come Saturday.
I mean, just look at his 19 and 18 when he rode out in the West Coast. He's fine.
He's just going to send, right? He's just got to send. I'm not looking for a tactical ride. I'm not looking for a stalking ride. I'm not looking for any sort of pace. Just send, go. That's what I mean. I'm less scared by that.
You're just looking for him to get him out. Yeah.
I mean, I've watched a lot of Santa Anita over the years, and there was a point where Figueroa was actually a decent jock. He was maybe like an Abel Cedillo, like a 12% kind of kid. Back when he was getting a lot of the better mounts for Doug O'Neill and a few others. So he's not terrible. I mean, is he my first pick on turf or at all for that matter? No, but I mean, he gets this horse and I wouldn't be too afraid. All he has to do is put the horse in fucking front and not fall off. So I wouldn't be too worried about the jockey here. And I'm much happier to have Figueroa than I would be Pratt, just given the price implications that would mean.
I'm going to mark that down here at the timing purposes of, what are we at, like an hour and 40 minutes? Just in case he falls off, I want that clip.
This is a golf stream, so the chances of a jockey falling off are diminished substantially.
Please send all lost wagers to Caleb Knight at
although in all fairness,
Shreveport, Louisiana.
It's Santa
I know
Anita.
you're not in Shreveport, but
the jockey
falls in Louisiana besides New Orleans and Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
You can ask a geography lesson.
I think John Massey probably said it best. F. Hembry.
I mean, I like Hembry, but I think turf miles are won more often than not by turf milers. And he's not. He's a sprinter that's kind of stretching out a little bit. So
it's a very profound statement.
I mean, the mile is a very tough distance to win for a marathoner or a sprinter. And I think he's one of those horses that just loves 6.5 to 7 furlongs.
So have you guys looked at anything else for this weekend? I know we got through our 5 races. Anything else that what? I guess we just go around. What are you guys playing this weekend, Caleb?
So I'm actually thinking about jumping in the Naira Bets restarted their AQUEDUCT tournaments. So it's $300 buy-in, $200 is bankroll, and then $100 goes to the prize pool. So I'm thinking about jumping back into that. I've had a really good read on the track at AQUEDUCT. The races have not been great, and there's been some really bad races, but I've had a really good feel for the races today. I just missed a nice pick 5 a little bit earlier. But yeah, I think I'm seeing the ball pretty well over there. So I'm probably going to jump into that on Saturday, especially with the Withers. I haven't looked at the undercard yet, but I'm hoping it's pretty decent. But beyond that, Santa Anita also has the mandatory pick 6 on Saturday, which is going to be a big draw. So I'm going to be mostly involved with those 2 sequences on Saturday. That's probably where I'll spend most of my time.
We didn't even mention that the Empire pick 6 is mandatory payout every day. the month of February, just in case anybody's missed that. Sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, there's only one person on in the stream that missed that, so he's now well aware. No, I will be playing the. I will be probably looking at the horse tourneys feature for Saturday. It's a bunch of different tracks, but I'll probably take a spot look at that. We'll be playing definitely going after that mandatory pick 6 at Santa Anita, and beyond that, I wish the OAKLAWN card was a little better on Saturday. They really, the King Cotton isn't something that gets you all super excited. But probably playing some Santa Anita. I've been doing real well there and really kind of enjoying the left coast.
I'd recommend taking a look at Saturday's Fairgrounds card. There's a couple races that are going to offer some value there. I know we got a couple people we talked to that are pretty heavy in the Fairgrounds, and the card's actually pretty nice, and they've got a 5.5 furlong sprint on Saturday with 14 entries on the turf, and it's just crazy. Obviously, there'll be some scratches, but some great horses here. And I went through it early on, and the lowest I could get a horse is maybe 7-2. It's going to be one of those races where you can make a lot of money if you're on the right horse. So, I think it's the 5th race on Saturday for anybody that's interested in a quality turf sprint for sure.
Is Turf Paradise run on Saturday?
No, but Louisiana Downs does. It's funny you should mention that.
Okay. Is it
it's quarter horse. Louisiana Downs is all quarter horse this time of year.
All right, then I'll probably be playing horse tourneys this weekend, as long as I don't get stuck with Turf Paradise again.
I just want to let you know, quarter horses favor cheap speed, Josh, because those are horses that couldn't make it 6 furlongs. So
they're just an entire different breed.
They really are.
John Massey says he likes the overnight OAKLAWN because following the track helps, as opposed to chemists coming in to steal purses. So he likes the
wonder who he's talking about with the chemist shipping in from an offsite training center. I wonder.
Maybe the trainer that was recently disqualified out of the Kentucky Oaks.
Yeah, and then the massive $1,500 fine. I'm sure that hit him right where
That's
it counts.
crippling.
It was crippling. He's gonna have to declare bankruptcy. It's gonna be
Debilitating.
the worst. Just I don't know how he'll ever survive.
Yeah, I think this weekend I'm mostly gonna be playing Habana, maybe a little Zofia. No, I don't know. I haven't looked at Fairgrounds yet. The Santa Anita card actually didn't look terrible, but I don't know if I'm just like trying to imagine things. The Tampa card didn't. The Tampa card didn't look bad.
Honestly, if you like stakes races, Tampa card seems to be the card to play. It's just the fact of a lot of people don't like Tampa, and I understand that. I get where they're coming from.
Yeah, I think I'll probably focus on probably like a Tampa tournament, or we'll see what the feature tournament is on Saturday. I'm gonna try and feed her in tomorrow to Saturday. So other than that, I'll probably just spot play things, which is what I've been doing the past couple days, and not just bleeding a ton of money. So that's been good. Vengi over here, Mr. Nicholas Dayton, who still has his I don't know, it looks like his like 8th grade baseball picture up here. He's asking if I can dunk. I cannot dunk. I'm 6'3" and I cannot dunk. I know, it's a shame.
Have you ever had a dunkaroo?
No, I have not. When I was a kid, we didn't have money, so like that was like stuff that like the kids who like had money brought to school.
I bought them as an adult because, well, I'm fat.
Was it Dunkaroos and Koala Yummies? Right, those are the two big. I got lucky, dude. It used to be a big deal when we'd have a field trip, and I would get to bring lunch, and I'd get it Lunchable. That was like a special thing.
Hey, since we're winding up here, I'm going to grab my umbrella because there's going to be a shit show or a shit storm coming through. And for those of you that are watching, just put your umbrella on and be careful where you tread your boots, if you will, when navigating the racing waters this weekend. There's a lot of misinformation and people that will take advantage of you in the horse racing world. So I just want to say that. I know, Josh, you look surprised. You look confused.
I am very confused.
Basically, you know, this whole thing, and you guys started to help new people out and to share opinions and ideas. And I jumped on because of where you guys were going and the direction you guys are in. And I like it. There's a lot of positive things here. And a lot of the people that listen to it, a lot of people you see on Twitter talking about the show talk about what they learned from here. And one thing I think it can get overlooked, especially given this week's events, are people are going to be out to give bad information and to screw with people and, take advantage of other people that we like, people that we respect and, listen to and talk to on a day-to-day basis. That's my PSA. Just know who you're talking to and tread carefully sometimes.
I will say, if there is anybody who you do want to listen to, our boy Stuart here, shout out to Keep Pounding. Apparently he's been on a tear since somehow getting rid of he fixed his ADW situation, and all of a sudden he's talking about Dunkaroos being $1. This man can afford them. Because
he can afford a lot of Dunkaroos.
Because I believe
thousands and thousands of Dunkaroos.
I believe the man's hit the pick six at Los Al. I think he had like a $2.50 pick five that he hit for a couple G's. So shout out to Keep Pounding, strong off the layup, exactly. So
maybe he found Bob's injectables.
Yeah, dude, are you juicing? Keep Pounding? Is that the deal? Are you juicing here? All right. I think we've officially run that joke into the ground. But we are on the wrong lead. Shout out to the Wolf of OAKLAWN, Chase. Missed him tonight. Let me fix this. I hope I remembered this correctly, and so hopefully this is right. But you should check out Chase on ABR tomorrow. 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern is what I was told last night. We'll see if that holds. But he's been doing a great job with him and Blackjack. Blackjack gave out a pick five ticket that paid a nice amount last time. Chase has always got good input. Chase was on a bit of a slump, and then he went down under and hit like a $1,500 trifecta at Australia of all places, which I didn't know he played. He's been firing on all cylinders this week. He's had a couple of good plays, so check him out tomorrow. You can see, if you haven't been seeing, all of our Twitter handles are there. You can catch us at ontherwronglead.com. We have a threadless store on there. Like I said, we got a couple new shirts. Hopefully Mark will be able to model some of them next week. I saw he placed an order. You can also get that sweet. You can get that sweet Wolf of OAKLAWN shirt he's wearing. I got a shirt on, but it's just really cold in here. But we got one with the new logo on there. So
yeah, we got some new logo stuff that looks pretty stellar. I will have the hoodie hopefully for next week's show, so I'm stoked about that.
And then so we'll be on. Like I said, we're gonna. Eventually, I know Brian and I talked a little bit about doing some live stuff on Saturdays. We're still getting that together, and as soon as we figure out a schedule for that, we'll let you guys know. Until then, we are on the wrong lead, and we will catch you guys later.